There is a place in the Pacific Northwest of the United States where the wind blows through the mountains to create a perfect kite spot on the Columbia River Gorge. A session in this iconic American kite spot is one that is an unforgettable experience. Today, we're checking out Hood River, Oregon. My name is Crystal Vaness. Welcome to Destinations. Hood River is a tiny city that sits an hour east of Portland, a literal stone's throw away from the Washington state line. The thing that everyone that comes to the spot or lives here has in common is a deep love for the outdoors. Winter or summer, there is always some fun to be had here in Hood River. When it comes to kiteboarding, Hood River is most definitely a hot spot, but it's unique in that you're riding in a river surrounded by mountains and forest and a rainbow of kites on the water on windy summer days. This spot is also home to a lot of the American pro riders, including Colleen Carroll and Cunningham, and the head offices of many kite brands like North. In the summer, this spot brings kiters from around the world to have lit sessions in the river or have a go in the slider park. So let's get into all the details on this kite spot, and after that we'll talk about everything else you need to know before you go, like how to get there, where to stay, what else there is to do, and of course where to go after your session. So when is windy season? Summer is king in Hood River, so you'll want to aim to travel there between May and September, though you can get some shoulder season sessions in before and after that if you're willing to brave the cold. And it gets windy here. Sometimes you get lighter wind days where the wind is blowing in the low teens, but for the most part it's up in the high teens and 20s. So I was on a 7-meter kite most of the time, and I was having an incredible time. The wind can also be really gusty here, but the benefit of that is that you get that dreamy elevator effect, so when you jump, you can go very, very high. So another thing that's unique to this spot is the river current flows in the opposite direction of the wind, which means that you don't need as much wind as you normally would to ride. The weather in Hood River, we are in the Pacific Northwest, so the seasons are very defined here. Winter is winter, summer is summer. But it is summer in the mountains. This is not a typical beach holiday. So you will definitely want to bring long pants and a jacket for the cold, windy days or the evenings. And for the water, you need a wetsuit. So a 3-2 should work for most of the summer, but on the beginning and end of the season, you may want something a little warmer. In the hottest of summer days, a shorty should work just fine, and you may welcome the cold refresh from the water. So when it comes to launching your kite in Hood River, there are 2 launch spots, the marina and the event site, but essentially there really is just one launch spot because the marina spot has a wall of bushes, the wind is quite turbulent and gusty. It's basically a minefield of kites falling out of the sky, so I highly recommend riding at the event site where you have a lot of extra room and it is very chilled. So at the event site, it's basically a big sandbar where you have tons of room to rig your kite, launch and land. When you're ready to start your session, you get to choose if you want to ride above or below the sandbar. So above is pretty much onshore and side onshore, and below is side off and off. When it comes to level, everyone can ride in Hood River. There is everything from beginners starting their lessons to pros. The best of the best ride in this spot. And there is a way that riders divide themselves up here that works pretty naturally. So below the sandbar, that's where all the lessons are. So it's quite shallow. It's a great place for lessons, but it's also where the pros throw down. So that's where the freestylers go, and that's where the slider park is. Above the sandbar is where everything else goes down, and the beauty of riding there is that if you have any trouble, just aim for the sandbar. When it comes to riding style, you'll see some really interesting things here. So Hood River was a windsurfing spot before it was a kite surfing spot, and that's where a lot of the sport has innovated in North America. It's a great place to see brands testing new products, riders trying new things, and just seeing where a huge hub of the community has come together to grow the sport. When it comes to facilities, if you're used to kiteboarding in a tropical beach destination, this is a totally different ballgame, and it will take a second to get used to. You definitely need a car if you want to be kiteboarding in Hood River, and you have to pay to park at the event site, or you can park just behind the event site in the free parking and just walk your gear up to the site. Think of it a bit like a public park, so you have public bathroom facilities, picnic tables, grass, and some cafes overlooking the water where you can have a post-session snack or a beer. And if you're a beginner kiteboarder looking to take lessons, the school that is best equipped here is Cascade Kiteboarding. There's a few cautions to watch out for here in Hood River. I highly recommend talking to a local rider at kite school before you start your session, and they can point out everything you need to look out for. But the main thing is that this is a major thoroughfare for boats and barges, so watch out for those. They are quite large, quite slow, and they create quite a big wind shadow, so stay out of their way. Another one is that you're in a river, so if you miss your exit point, you could get in a bit of trouble, so make sure you're confident riding or stay above the sandbar to avoid getting in trouble like that. There are also some spots on the water where there's dead zones, so there's not too much wind there, and it can get a bit turbulent close to the shore, so be cautious when you're getting close to the shore or any other obstacles in the water. For me, Hood River is the home of kiteboarding in this part of the world. For a lot of riders, this scenery and these conditions are a completely new experience. I remember my first experience riding here at Hood River. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before kiteboarding, and I will never forget it. So if you have any more questions about this kite spot, we've included a link to a detailed spot guide in the description of this video. But for now, let's talk about everything else you need to know about Hood River. So how do you get here? So Hood River is about an hour east of Portland, 5 hours from Seattle, and 12 hours from San Francisco if you're really into driving. And you will definitely need a car here, so drive over from wherever you are, or fly into Portland and rent a car. Now, it's a beautiful drive from Portland, so it's an hour east, and make sure you stop at Multnomah Falls on the way. It's an amazing waterfall and a nice quick stop. Great way to introduce yourself to the spot. So this little mountain paradise is in quite high demand, which means budget accommodation is pretty hard to come by. A bunk bed in a hostel will run you about $50 US a night, and hotels are usually $100 plus. If you're looking for a better deal, check out Airbnb. You could get a private house, or you could see about sharing a house with fellow kiteboarders. If you're lucky, you'll get some session buddies. There's quite a camping and van life community here as well, so check into camping if that's something you enjoy doing, but you do want to book your campsites in advance because it does get quite busy in the summer, especially on the weekends. But if you don't mind that beautiful hour-long drive every day, I would consider staying in Portland. You have many more options for budget accommodations, and if you're traveling with non-kiters, a lot of other things to do. Let's talk about food. You will not be wanting for quality eats here, and it is craft everything. Craft coffee, craft beer, craft liquors. There is plenty to try when you're not on the water. And Oregon is well known for its wines, so if you want to take a drive south towards Mount Hood, you'll come across several vineyards to go and try out. I could talk for hours about all the great food choices in Hood River, so I would recommend just checking out the travel guide in the description of this video because I will tell you about my favorite pizzas, cocktails, craft beers, breakfast, coffee, lots of healthy and vegan-friendly options. We're truly spoiled for choice here. It's all about adrenaline here in Hood River. But the mountain playground is what makes this spot unique from many other kite spots. So you can go hiking, explore some summits and lakes. In winter, skiers and snowboarders get their shred on at nearby Mount Hood, or get into some cross-country and backcountry action. Or if you really want to get your heart pumping, downhill mountain biking is where it's at. Now, I would recommend renting a mountain bike and heading up to Post Canyon where you can send it down one of 68 trails. So this is where I had my first introduction to mountain biking, and I will say that it was one of the most terrifying but incredible experiences of my life. I somehow managed to make it to the bottom alive, and I could not keep the smile off of my face for the rest of the day, especially because I managed to tag on a kite session in the afternoon. Hood River is a neat little city full of insanely stoked outdoorsy people. This is a place where people choose to live because they want to spend more time outside. And if you're up for it, you could fit 2 or 3 sports into one day here. If Hood River isn't on your kiteboarding hit list yet, I hope it is now, and I hope to see you on the water there soon. If you have any more questions about this spot, please hit me up on social media or leave us a comment. And we've also included links to a detailed spot guide and travel guide in the description of this video. Please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. And of course, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time on Destinations.